Hello, I'm Kelly and welcome to my Flosstube channel, Animal Instinct. It's Sunday the 1st of February 2026 and I'm back with my first monthly cross-stitching update for the year. Happy New Year! Thanks so much for watching today. I hope you're well and I hope you're enjoying your stitching. Thank you to all of my subscribers and welcome if you're new. Yes, we're at the end of January already. I hope your year has gotten off to a good start. Mine has been very busy. I had a week off between Christmas and New Year, straight back into it from Friday the 2nd of January, and it's just been full on. I'm also dealing with a flare-up of an old back injury from horse riding, really old injury. And I'm not gonna lie, it is horrendous. So sitting down and stitching isn't the best for it. I'm having to make sure I'm up and about. Yeah, anyway, not going to go on about that, but yeah, it's been an interesting time. I have done plenty of stitching though since my whip parade, so I'm going to share all the stitching I've done since then. And I've got some really fun things to share with you today. I actually have some either completely fully finished pieces or like partially fully finished. Which is not like me. I don't do that very often. As well as that, I have plenty of stitching. I've got some finishes, starts and existing projects to share as well. So what I thought I would do was show you the fully finished pieces, or the ones that are on their way to being fully finished. And then I'll give you a quick recap of my approach to stitching this year, because I've sort of split it into categories. And then we'll just go through category by category and I'll share all my stitching after that. So, where to start? Almost feels like a whip parade. I've got like piles. All right, my very first FFO, and this is completely finished. This is a little drum. The pattern was called Afternoon in Pokolbin. It's by Mojo Stitches. It was a little kit we got at the Daisy Chain at Stitches Retreat last year. It's stitched in cottage garden threads. I added the year and a little wine glass. Pokolbin is in the Hunter Valley in New South Wales, which is a winery region, so you've also got the grapes there. And that's the little hall where the retreat was held. So I've never stitched a drum before. Definitely learnt a few things and could do things slightly differently next time, but this is fine for now. It's a rustic drum. I didn't have much to go. I just had to fill it and sew the lid completely on. So it's filled with crushed walnut shells. I use lizard litter, which is like a substrate that reptiles like live in their tanks. You can get it from pet shops. And it's 100% crushed walnuts, and it's quite a lot cheaper than, or more cost effective, I guess, than buying it from a craft shop because you get a bigger bag. I've got enough to last me probably forever. I did struggle to totally fill to the brim with the walnut shells. And so, yeah, I think next time what I'd probably do would be fill it as much as possible, because I like the weight they give. But then stuff the top with some polyfill. But anyway, that's fine. Cute little drum. And a fully finished piece. Next one. So the next three are not completely finished, but they are all well on their way. This one is a piece I finished recently. Stitched together by the Tiny Modernist. And this has lovely memories associated with it. I started it in England back in October, and some lovely stitchy friends stitched the words on mine, and I stitched some of the words on theirs too. So that is Joe Belushi Stitches, Emma X Stitching, and Cross Stitch Jess. So yeah, really nice memory looking at this. I wanted a white frame. In my mind, it was maybe a little bit ornate, but I just happened to find this at Spotlight. It was cheap, it was like $7. And in terms of the aperture, it fits it perfectly. It's just sitting in there at the moment. It's not laced in or anything, but it went in beautifully. I think what I want to do is maybe put some sort of color on the frame. I'm thinking I feel like you can get like sponge and like sponge color on, maybe a green or pinky purple, something like that complements it. So it's not quite so stark, but for now, I'll just leave it in there until I figure out what I'm doing. And if I do anything, I will be sure to come back and share. Yes, got pretty lucky with that. I just kind of eyeballed the size and thought, oh, I wonder if that will fit. And it fit perfectly. So that is that one. The next one is a bit of a blast from the past. I can't remember when I stitched these, but it would have been somewhere between 2020 and 2022. The designer is New Leaf Craft, I think. I remember that I got the patterns on Etsy, then they came off Etsy, so I don't know if you can get these anymore. But it was, you got 12 charts with the pattern, like little monthly scenes, and they're like small but packed full of detail. I think from memory they are like 45 by 45 stitches, so small, but they've got a lot of back stitch and French knots, and there's one's got beads on it. Anyway, I had thought I'd finish it a different way, actually into like 2 cubes was my vision, but I never got around to doing it. So I just found them in a pile in my craft room the other day and thought, let's actually do something. Rather than like thinking about what I might do, why don't I just do something? So I'm turning them into a little decorative quilt. I don't have my COVID quilt that's normally behind me today, but you know, the same sort of thing, but like small version. So it'll be 3 across and 4 down. So I have started putting some fabric around the edges. Let me just find what's a good example of this here. I don't recall what fabric it is or anything like that. It's either 28 or 32 count. But yeah, I wanted quite a contrasting frame, and I thought that worked really nicely, that pretty batik. And then I just love this fabric, so that's gone around the edge too. So what I think, and I've just been totally winging it, I was gonna join each of them with the blue, but I think it's just gonna get too big. So now they're gonna be just joined like this. And I haven't decided, I might come around and do blue around the whole thing, or if I think it's too big, I might just use this blue to bind it. So it does have that like final framing. So I've got 12 of them because they're monthly. I'll show you a couple more. I won't go show you all of them. There's another one. They're just really, really nice. I really enjoyed stitching them. Here's a picnic. What else? I ran out of the purple strips, so I have got some more purple strips just to finish up. Here's a stitching spot. So I need to put the strip on the bottom there. Amazing the detail that they can get. Here is, this is a cool one. It's a seagull. So all I need to do is put the strips on just the last 4. 1, 2, 3. Yeah, 4. Then just join them up. So, you know, I'm not going to give a time frame. I don't know when it's going to happen. But yeah, hopefully this year this will be completely finished. I actually had a crafternoon with my mum. I went down to my parents' house and spent a crafty day with mum, which was great. As I mentioned, my back's not great at the moment, and she was amazing and did a lot of the cutting for me, because bending over the table and cutting just was not good. I was okay at the sewing machine, but it's the like bending that's not good. The actual reason why I went there was I had a different project in mind, and those just sort of came up as I was getting organised. I found them and thought, oh, why don't I take them too? So my fourth piece that is on its way to being fully finished is a very special one. I shared this, I can't remember when it was, but it was in the second half of last year. So it's Mirabilia's Queen Mermaid. So originally I bought this, I bought the pattern and I kitted it up and I started it in 2019, and I just never got on. I think it was a poor fabric choice on my part. And in the end I UFO'd it, and I gifted the pattern and the like embellishments, the beads and everything, the treasures, to my good friend Deb Wilson. Hey Deb. And then she picked an amazing fabric for it, much better than my choice. And I really enjoyed seeing her stitch on it during her monthly Flosstubes. So her channel will be linked below. You should definitely go check her out. And yeah, that was it from my perspective. And then we caught up last year at that retreat that I mentioned before, and she gifted me the finished piece, which I just couldn't believe. Still can't really believe. And she'd intended to do that the whole way through, but yeah, it was a complete surprise. She also gifted me supplies to finish this into a little quilt, like a quilted wall hanging. She knows I don't tend to frame things very often. So she's given me fabric, she's given me batting, she's even given me thread to quilt it, like everything I need. So I finally did some work on this. I felt a bit intimidated. I don't want to ruin it. I enjoy sewing and quilting, but I'm not that experienced. My mum is a quilter, which is why I wanted to do it with her. Anyway, this is where it's up to. I'll come in, but that is the size of it. It's stunning. Now I'm going to look at this when I'm editing, and if the fabric colour is not coming through properly, I will insert a photo, because it is really hard to show, but I did manage to get a photo with the actual colour of the linen. Deb always struggled to get that showing properly too. So let's come in closer. She's absolutely beautiful. She is full of beads and sparkles. And yeah, I think it's showing up a bit more blue. It's more green. Anyway, this is the fabric that she provided me, which is just perfect. It's got all colours from the pattern in it too. So I wanted something between the linen and this, and you might recognise this from the last bit. I thought that went perfectly because it's got colours from both this fabric and the stitched piece in it, and it's a nice sort of contrast. So the linen was horrible to stitch with. Attaching the linen to these strips was challenging. It's kind of slippy and just, yeah, I mean, it's just linen, that's what you expect, I guess. And then once I'd done this, I then, you know, cut strips and have joined the outside. I've also got I've got it hanging up in my wardrobe at the moment. It's the coat hanger. I've got a piece to back it with, and you can see, the batting here as well, which will be trimmed to size when I get to it. So you can see all the safety pins. It's all pinned together. So if you're not a quilter, this is like a quilt sandwich. We've got the bits of bread, the quilt top, and the backing, and then the filling, which is the padding, the batting in the middle here. And the quilting part of quilting is joining those three layers together. You could do that in different ways. You can do machine quilting, and even machine quilting. You can get like fancy long arm quilting machines that you can sort of pre-program, and you have to be there, but it does it does an amazing job. Or you can do it freehand. The quilt that's normally behind me, I did a bit of freehand quilting on that for the first time. That was interesting. And you can also just sort of do up and down. You can draw patterns on with a stencil. You can do like a diamond pattern. You can do it really simple and what is it called? Quilting in the ditch, where you quilt along existing like lines, so like along here, which is probably what I'm going to do. Or you can even hand quilt as well. So I will be quilting this, but given how fiddly this is, and I really don't want to mess it up, I didn't want to quilt on here, but I'm also aware that's a big area that wouldn't be actually attached to the middle or back. My mum had a great idea, and that was to find some sequins, because she's already like sparkly and beautiful, so let's make it a little bit more. And I'm just going to randomly put sequins throughout on the linen and attach them through to the back, and I'll just bury the knots so there's not like messes of knots at the back. I will start with the sequins. I'll start from the center and work out basically. So once I'm happy with sequins, I will then come and do the quilting on here, and then I'll just have to attach the binding. I haven't found sequins of the right color yet, so I'm still looking for that. But that's the plan. Isn't she beautiful? Oh, so happy. Again, I will definitely show you when I have more progress on that. Yeah, I just got to find some sequins of the right color. I don't want them to stand out too much. I don't want them to take away from the stitching. So I'll just have to, yeah, keep looking. I did buy some and they're a bit too blue. So yeah, I've got an idea for my next, source. So I'll come back to you on that. So they're my fully finished pieces, or almost fully finished. I'm not quite sure what the acronym is. Is it AFFO, almost fully finished object, or PFFO, partially fully finished object? I'm not sure. Anyway, let's move on to my stitching in January and the very last part of December, I guess too. So the way I am approaching my stitching this year, I have more than 60 works in progress already, with plenty more that I'd like to start. And sometimes it's a bit overwhelming to choose which project do I want to work on. So I've come up with some categories, and I'm assigning just one project to each category at any given time. And then my number of choices has gone down from 60 to just the number of categories I have, which is far less than 60. I quite enjoyed that in January, so definitely going to carry that on into Feb, and it might be an all year sort of thing. Some of the categories just have one project that can fit into them, so they'll be sort of worked on as I feel like it all year. Others, I might be trying to finish something before substituting another one in, or there's a couple where I might be a bit more flexible. So we'll see how it all goes. I did get asked a few times, yes, you've come up with categories, but what's your rotation? I do not have a plan. There is no plan whatsoever. If I put strict rules in place, I will 100% rebel against them. I won't stick with it. I know that about myself. And it might be that one month I feel like rotating through each of the categories a certain number of stitches or days or something. But for now, it's just, I've got that many to choose from. I'll stitch on the ones I want to stitch on. And as it turns out, I think there were 3 that I didn't touch this month. So I am actually keen to work on them in February. So let's go through them. If I've got starts or finishes associated with the category, I'll show you them as we go. Okay, so the very first, number 1, is my BAP category. I feel like I'm going to say category a lot today. Apologies in advance. Anyway, this is my biggest project. So there's only one project that fits into this one, and that is a Firefly. This is based on artwork by Jay Parks, and it's a Gecko Rouge kit. It's one of my oldest projects, started in 2019, and it is my biggest. I am going to put a photo in from the whip parade of where I was last time. Maybe the whole thing, but then I'll show you the close-up of the area that I've been working on in January. And here it is now. So I spent 10 days on this in January and I got in 5,118 stitches. I had quietly hoped to be able to reach 5,000 stitches and I just did it last night. If you recall the picture from before, there was a big strip along here that was kind of partially done. So I have completed all of that background now above this cat's head. Is that focusing? I can't tell. I've then come in and I've started on her ear. So I'm kind of stitching this cat by cat. I've done 3 already. She will be the 4th. And in between cats, I'm making sure I do plenty of background as well. I'm doing the background using 2 strands of DMC. I'll put a long strand with both ends through the needle eye and do a loop start. So then I'm stitching 2-stranded and they're just half stitches or 10 stitches. The cats are being stitched with 1 strand, 1/1 full crosses. So I had been doing background, it felt like forever, but definitely months. And I can't tell you how many times I was threading my needle when I was starting on the ear again and was going to do a loop start with 2 strands and I had to keep reminding myself. But yeah, very happy to have finished her ear, and that is a very strange earring. So this cat is called Inara, or cat. The character is called Inara. It's based on the TV show Firefly, and the artist has reimagined the human characters as cats in the artwork. But this character is Inara, and she is very glamorous and very well put together. So it makes sense that she has jewelry and beautiful clothing. If I get that up again, let me show you her. Here she is. She's got like a really lovely red and gold dress on. She's got a necklace. I don't know what it is because really the whole piece is absolutely ridiculous. Cats wearing clothes in space, but I just feel like the earrings are just a step too far. They're probably my least favourite part of the whole design, but it's fine. They'll be stitched. I'm not going to try and change anything. Anyway, so 1 earring is done. And now I've moved over to this ear as well. I'm finding it like on the edge of the cat, and I remember that from past cats. It's actually a bit hard to tell like which is cat and which is background. So which part I'm going to do 1/1 full cross and which part I'm doing 2 strands half stitches. So it does help to kind of do that kind of boundary and just make a call. You just have to make a call. So now I know anything in here is cat and anything out here is not, and I still have to finish off that. I actually am now at the stage where I'm going to move the fabric up so we can see more of her face. I haven't worked out how many stitches this cat is, but it would be amazing to finish her this year, so we'll see. I might find that it's way too many stitches, but I'll figure that out later. So I started the year at 35.57%. 5,000 stitches later, I am at 36.26%, so not even 8% completed, but that's okay. So this one is just out always. And interesting to see where I get to next month, if I might have gotten to her eyes. They are like a bright yellow. So let's hope. Okay. My second category is an older piece, and I didn't work on any in this category this month, so I'll come back to those at the end. My third category is a favourite, and I did pull out a favourite. I worked on Warrior Woman by Medusa Dollmaker, another Gecko Rouge kit. She's retired from Gecko Rouge, so you can't get kits from them anymore, which is a shame because her artwork is really beautiful. I think I've got 2 others from her in my stash as well. I started this one on my birthday in 2022. So it's almost having its 4th birthday. It's my birthday in just under 2 weeks. And I don't know why, I just hadn't really, gotten as far as I would have liked. So this definitely goes in the favourites category to get some progress this year. I'll pop a photo in of where I was at the Whip Parade. I don't think did I say, I can't remember. Firefly is 25 count Lugana. So is Warrior Woman. This is where it's at now. So some really good progress this month. I worked on Warrior Woman for 5 days and I got 2,363 stitches in. I've taken it from 6.62 to 8.53%. And I was trying to work out how to, what direction to go with this one. This orangey background comes down quite far, and I wondered if maybe I should try and do the background before coming back to her, but ultimately I decided to carry on and stitch the top row of pages. So I have now finished the first page, and I haven't quite finished the second one, I think, and I'm, a little way into the third. But it's looking great. Her hair's really coming in. These look amazing. This is about the halfway point, so plenty to go. But really, really enjoyed working on her, and I will definitely have her out again soon. I guess if she's a birthday start, it makes sense to work on her on my birthday because I don't think I'm having a birthday start this year. So yeah, I think that's the plan for Warrior Woman. Definitely. Needs some more love. Okay, that was the third. The fourth category is New Year, New Start, and I had a New Year, New Start. So I started the Tempest by John Williams Waterhouse. I'll have a photo in. This is older sort of artwork, so I don't think copyright is an issue anymore, and you can get charts of this artwork from various cross-stitch designing companies, and mine is from Cross-Stitch Collectibles. So yeah, it was a start. I had this kitted up for like years. I've been wanting to stitch this for a really long time, and finally it was the right time. I'm stitching it on 18 count Aida with 2 strands of thread. I really wanted a nice big piece to hopefully go on the wall one day. There's a little way to go though. The way I'm stitching this is very different from any other piece I've stitched, and I wasn't sure if I would stick with it or not, but so far I'm loving it, so no plans at the moment to change. Now the Aida is still very new and stiff, so hopefully I can show this okay. I managed to finish the first page. Here is my, oh god. There is my start. Hopefully that's showing okay. Kind of funny light today. Yeah, so that is the top left corner of the piece. You can see I'm happy with the detail on this so far. It's pretty much all background except for Miranda. So this is all background, but you can see the waves hitting this shipwreck, the mast, and it's sort of going over on its side. So yes, loving it. That is 10 days worth, where is it? 3,608 stitches. So if you compare that to Firefly, which also got 10 days and got 5,000 stitches, it's quite slow going. I am at 2% exactly, and I've done 1 page and a bit, so yeah, there's a bit going into the second page. Oh, my arms are like tired this morning. I think it's to do with my back. It's tiring holding it up. There we go. See how we go. So this one, you can see parked threads. What? I don't usually park like this. I am always trying to try new things and just improve. That's just me. And sometimes with 18 count, the stitches can be a bit crowded. So I have one rule with this piece, and this has been inspired by seeing tutorials from other floss tubers over the years that I've just kept in mind. And I thought I'd give this a go. So my one rule with this piece is, unless I'm stitching the very top row, if I'm going to place a stitch, there must be a stitch already directly above that stitch. If there's not, I will park it in the bottom left hole, which is my starting point of my stitch. The theory is there won't ever be stitches being stitched with stitches underneath, on top and to the sides all the way around. You won't be fighting your needle to come up through the fabric in a hole that's already full of DMC. And so your needle is coming up in a pretty much clean hole, maybe not completely new hole. There might be some DMC in there, but it won't be full. And it's definitely resulting in really, I don't know if you can see, really, really tidy stitches. So I'm loving the effect. It is really slow. Parking a lot. I'm threading the needle a lot. Oh, sorry, my arm. I feel a bit weak today. I'm just going to show you the needles. So I wanted some size 26 needles because I am on 18 count with 2 strands. And I literally just went into my little needle stash and grabbed the first little pack of 26s that I came across. And I just got lucky because the pack I chose had really nice big eyes. So it's really easy to thread. I'm having to thread my needle a lot. But because I happen to pick a needle with a large eye, I'm not having to lick, I'm just sort of squeezing and putting through. I'm not having any issues threading the needle, so it's fine. These are the ones I picked. John James, what are they? Cross stitch. They happen to be gold plated. The gold plating wears off when I'm stitching anyway, but really, really good. And yes, there's all the parked threads are interesting. I had bought these bobbies, bobbins that kind of hold them in place, which is, they're really good. And I got the weighted ones, and you can see here, I've actually got a needle minder on the back holding this off to the side. I won't do that when it's in storage, but it's just to show you today. Really handy when you're stitching and you want them out of the way. The one thing with parking that I'm not sure about is, like, when I'm actually stitching, if I took them all out of this, it turns into like a bit of a bird's nest. They don't seem to knot or tangle, but yeah, if you're a parker, how do you manage that? I mean, I'm not getting knots, so it's okay, but it's just, I don't know, I'm not used to it. If you've got any tips, I'd love to hear them. The other thing I found with this technique, I don't know if I've seen anyone do specifically this one, but anyway, I'm sure there are people who do. There's probably a name for it too. But I had stitched like to the edge of the first page and maybe 2 stitches into the next. But what I was finding, and you can kind of see, if I'd stitched across and then, excuse the state of my nails today, I didn't want to stitch like these 2 stitches. That would mean that's it. I'm not going to stitch in those columns at the moment, which means everything comes in a bit and then it just slowly comes in and comes in. I'm probably not explaining that very well, but you end up with like a natural kind of diagonal. So I had to bring my stitches out further than I initially had so that I could reach the bottom of the first page down here. But yeah, oh, it looks really good in the camera too. So you can't wait to get back to this one. I feel like I was just talking about that for a really long time. It's a large piece of Ada. So anyway, Absolutely loving that. And yeah, surprised myself that I enjoyed slowing down. It's not a race, and just like choosing your stitch path to get as many stitches as you can before you have to park. It's yeah, it's just a very different way of thinking about your stitching, and I really enjoyed it. Definitely not something I do all the time. I don't think it's really necessary for me on 25 count with one strand. I'm fine doing cross country with that, but I don't love when there's like holes to come back and fill in, heaps of holes. So this way there's never any, so it's great. Okay, let's keep going. My next category, which is number 5, is Gecko Rouge. Even though we've already seen, how many have we seen so far? 2. We now have a third. It might be the last. I think it's the last for today. Now, I had planned to put Daryl Dixon in here and work on him till he was finished and then bring something else in. That was always the plan. However, it came to my attention in January that the movie Labyrinth, starring David Bowie and Jennifer Connelly, was having its 40th anniversary this year. This has been a favourite movie of mine since childhood. Just love it. My parents were David Bowie fans. I became a David Bowie fan. We used to have like his records on vinyl, and I remember like, yeah, playing them. And that movie was just great. So I don't think, I wouldn't have gone to see it at the movies in 1986. I was 5 then. But I would have seen it in the next few years, and then I've watched it regularly since then. And I have a Labyrinth inspired cross stitch kit from Gecko Rouge that, again, I'd picked a fabric and it was just a poor choice. Nice fabric, great pattern, they just didn't go together. So I wanted to restart it at some stage, and I didn't intend to restart it now, but hearing about the 40th anniversary, it was actually on at the cinemas for a few days, so I went and saw it at the movies, which was brilliant. It hasn't really aged, like, well, I didn't think. I thought it was pretty good. So I thought, well, this is the perfect time to restart it. So this is another Medusa Dollmaker. Oh yeah, it's another Medusa Dollmaker. So again, it's retired from Gecko Rouge, but here it is. You can see Jareth, David Bowie. Sarah is in his little crystal ball, and there's goblins and the owl. Oh, it's just so good. And it even said, I had never noticed, where does it say? Where does it say? I'm sure in the pattern, and now I can't see it. I'm sure in the pattern it says something about 1986. Anyway, maybe it didn't. It does say I moved the stars for no one, which is from the film. And it's just beautiful. So it's just, there's not many colours. I think it's 18 colours, sort of from white through to bluey purpley. It's just so nice. So I've restarted this on just plain white Lugana 25 count. And I've started in the middle at the top, and I've just worked on it for one day, put in 603 stitches. Haven't even made it to 1% yet. And this is my start. It's so pretty. So this here is the eye in It's Only Forever. So yeah. Yeah, I think I still need to finish Daryl Dixon, but I think I might leave this out in Feb just to get a little bit more on, because I don't feel like that's much of a start. So we'll see. Okay, next one is number 6 is Chatelaine. I didn't work on my Chatelaine this month. Number 7 is Specialty Stitches. So I did work on my Specialty Stitches piece. I worked on Perfect Squares by Beautiful Stitches. Where did it go? So I'm going to put a photo in of where it was at the whip parade. I worked really hard on this one and I finished it. Can I put behind it? Maybe this. Okay. There we go. It's a finish. I shared this on Instagram. I don't post on Instagram very often, but I thought it was worthy. Oh, I love it. It is stitched with Silks For You. I picked my own colours. Cannot see what I'm showing you now. There are 21 squares within the square. I could have done a final outer border, but I was happy with how it looked like that. So it is done. I had a look. There are 92 different stitch types in this piece, and there's fantastic instructions for all of them. So it's not complicated. It might look it, but the instructions were so good that it was fine. The hardest part of it, and I think I mentioned this in my whip parade, is just choosing what colour to put where. That was so much fun. It's on a Congress cloth. I can't remember, it might be 24 count. I don't recall. I got it from the designer. And you could buy a silk pack from her too, but I just went with my own because I have plenty in stash. So that was a stitch along from 2023, I think it was, finished. So that means, oh, hang on. I did write down, I worked on it for 7 days. I basically, like, I'm counting my stitches, but you can't count those stitches. They're anywhere from like back stitches, really simple little back stitches, to, I think the stitch with the most steps, it had 99 steps in it for one stitch. So I still wanted to sort of count. What I did was, at the end of each stitching session, I had to think about how long I'd spent on it and roughly how many cross stitches I would expect to get done in a piece on average in that kind of time frame. So I estimated I did about 5,500 stitches, which I think would be right, because there's a lot. I spent a lot of time on that. So that one is now finished, which means I need a new piece for this category. And I'm going with the Twisted Rainbow sampler from Northern Expressions Needlework. And I've only made a tiny little start on this one. I haven't worked on it in January, but that's where it is. And I'm not sure if I'll work on this in February. I think we'll just wait and see. I feel like Chatelaine is similar to Specialty Stitches in terms of the type of project, and I definitely want to work on my Chatelaine. So if I have time, or if I really, really want to, I'll work on this, but it might not get touched in Feb. So we'll just wait and see. Number 8 is my spooky category, and I didn't work on that. Number 9 is travel. So I had a new start for my travel category, and I had selected it in my, I did do an episode on my plans. I think it was 3 episodes ago. And I had picked the Otter from Mill Hill as my new travel piece. And I started this on New Year's Eve. I went to the cricket. There's always a cricket game here in Adelaide on New Year's Eve. It's always a fun night out. I used to always go, but it's probably been a good few years since I have been, so I was really happy to be able to go this year. It's part of the Big Bash League, which is a cricket tournament over summer in Australia. Most states will have a team in it. My team is the Adelaide Strikers, and yeah, it's like short format cricket, so it's over in a matter of hours. It's fun, it's exciting. The strategy is just like get as many runs as you can and try and beat the other team, basically. Very different to like the 5-day format test cricket, where there's a lot more strategy involved, and quite often they end in a draw, so 5 days of sport with no result. It's always funny, my family has like a lot of cricket associated with it, and my dad in particular used to love explaining test cricket to Americans who just couldn't not grasp the concept of a 5-day sporting game where you don't even have a winner. He used to love it. But this is a bit more akin to baseball, say, where you're trying to, smash the ball, get as many runs as you can, and it's only a limited time available. So it's good. It's good for the short attention span that I think we have nowadays. Test cricket's still popular, but I think with newer generations, 2020, which is the format this is the Big Bash is part of, is a bit more accessible and interesting to everyone. Even if you don't love cricket, it's always fun. So went to that New Year's Eve. I think I've got a photo. I tried to get a photo at the cricket. It was a bit hard with lighting and stuff. And actually it was funny because it was New Year's Eve. There was a New Year's Eve like fireworks function just out back on the River Torrens, which runs through Adelaide, and at the 9 o'clock fireworks session. The game carried on, but it was very loud. We could see them, and then the smoke came over into the oval. They kept playing, but whoa, it was a lot. I then managed to get home before midnight, so I was happy. I've worked on this since, and I've actually finished it. Here is my little otter. So cute with his shell. Look at his shell. Oh. Ah, beautiful. I just stuck some felt on the back of him, not perfectly as you can see, and I glued the magnet on. I've actually just got him sitting on my 3-tier craft tray right here to look at when I'm stitching. Cute. So that was a start and a finish. He was 5 days of work, 902 stitches. So now I need a nude piece for my travel stitching, and I've decided to go with this. Hopefully it's not going to be too fiddly, but it's the Highland Cow bookmark that I got when I was in Scotland last year. There's hardly been anything done on this one. I haven't come back to this yet. I've just chosen it as my next piece, and that's the little meagre start. Okay, we're almost there. We're now up to the other category, and I just want to thank everyone who commented on that plans video. It was very, very helpful. I was having a bit of trouble deciding what to stitch on in this one. I had created this category pretty much just so I could do the Lola Crow stitch along when it comes up later this year, and there's now been a sneak peek, and it's possibly like maybe like a natural museum kind of setting. I'm not quite sure, but yeah, I'm definitely in, 100% in. So when that comes up, that will be what I stitch on in this category, but I wasn't sure what to do to start with. And I showed you options, and I asked you to let me know which ones you thought I should be stitching. The winner by far, there are a lot of very sensible people, thank you, I think I needed that, who said, why don't I start with the Secret Grove Stitch Along by Needlework Designs, because I was so close to a finish. And I hadn't made decisions exactly on, I was waiting till the 1st of January, then I was tallying up the votes, but I had seen plenty of people mention that sort of straight after the video, and I actually got it out and I worked on it straight after the Whip Parade through to the end of the year. So since the Whip Parade, I put in another 6 days on this piece, 4,685 stitches. We'll put a photo of where it was at the Whip Parade, and very pleased to show you that I finished it. So this was my first finish for the year. I finished it on the 1st of January. I think I had somewhere between 3 and 5 stitches left. Yeah, it's all finished. So what I've done since the Whip Parade is all this at the bottom. There was a fair amount to do, as you can see. Now, she had released this gorgeous badger kind of as a reward for being part of the stitch along, and people loved it so much that she incorporated it into like an extended version of this. So he could have gone underneath with a few other things, but I just was getting a bit tight on space, so decided not to stitch the badger. But how cute is that? Oh, this whole piece is just delightful. Now, I saw today she's coming out with a new stitch along. I'm not going to sign up for it. I've got a bit too much on my plate, but I'm sure it'll be amazing. So can't wait to see people working on that. This is on 32 count Lugana. I just dyed it with some indigo reed dye, and yeah, all finished, which means it got the most votes for my other category, but it doesn't need to be in there anymore because it's done. So some of the other comments I got, I had mentioned that I was a bit sad that I hadn't come up with an Australian category, because I've got quite a few Australian whips and things waiting to be stitched. And you know, quite a few people said, why don't I just come up with an Australian category? And I was like, no, I've got 10. 11's a weird number, I don't want 10. And then I think it was Laura from I Stitch Birds mentioned that she had done something similar, and she had a kit category, and that just resonated with me, and so I now have an 11th category, kits. So I tallied up the votes for all the pieces that were going into my other category. Secret Grove was the winner, but we need to disregard that one. I actually had a tie for second place, and one is a kit and one is not, so perfect. So for the other category, the winner was Vicious by the Artsy Housewife. So I've made a very meagre start on Vicious. Oh, we got the fabric tag. No. I think this is fabric from, oh, it's really come loose in my Q-snap too. It's from Whoopsie Daisy Designs, I'm pretty sure. I'll confirm that later. And I just made a tiny start. It was one day, I think it's 128 stitches. I'm using a mix of DMC and Cold For. It's cold, like the Cold For is mainly fancy floss. I'm just using the ones I had, otherwise I'm using DMC. So a very small start on that. The runner-up in the other category was T-Rex. So if I happened to finish Vicious, I'm not sure if that's going to happen, before the Lola Crow stitch along comes out, I will start T-Rex by Silver Creek Samplers. And then that leaves me with my kit category, which, as it turns out, at the moment is starting off as an Australian category too. The winner of, it was like the tied winner along with Vicious, was Possums by Leslie Suzanne Davies, and it's a DMC kit. I did make a start on this just for one day. I got 1,118 stitches. And this is where I got to. So on all the kit stuff, and I've stitched the middle possum, including some of the back stitch. It's so cute. Little ringtail, you can see it's a ringtail possum by the tail there. There's also brush tails, and they have like fluffier, yeah, they're not quite as cute. And there are others too, but they're the two we have around here. So really happy with that start. Yeah. The one that came, the kit that came in after Possums was Wildflower Bouquet. It's also a DMC kit. But honestly, the numbers were very close for all of them. It's like spread fairly well equally across the range. So thank you so much. That was really, really helpful. And yeah, if I ever have another tough choice, I'll definitely ask for your thoughts, because that was fantastic. I really appreciated that. Okay, so that's all my stitching. Gosh, this has taken a long time, chatty today. I did just want to really briefly touch on one thing before I just share plans, which are pretty straightforward. And that is the Bella Filipina stitch along. So some of you will have seen some of the posts on social media about the stitch along and the new piece he's released. I've shared on here before, I would have shown you my where the whip was up to at the whip parade. I was part of the stitch along. I purchased the pattern, I kitted it all up, I got a massive piece of fabric for it, and I totally get, like, that's a mystery stitch along. That's all part of it. That's what you sign up for. The designer was provided with a fair amount of feedback from the stitches during the stitch along. And there were quite a lot of questions. I've mentioned before, it was a little bit controversial. There was some contentious parts along the way. But the designer assured us at the end that the final release was the complete finished design. There wouldn't be changes to it. This was it. And, you know, I was okay with that. I was willing to go along with it. It was a little bit disappointing because it did feel unfinished. Anyway, I had planned to just, you know, stitch along slowly. And then in January, he's come out with a new piece, and it's basically a better version of the stitch along. It's beautiful. The colors are more vibrant. It's stunning. Really disappointing customer service and the designer's attitude around the stitch along participants. So essentially it looks like the stitch along participants were basically test stitches at their own expense, and he's then gone and come up with a better pattern based on feedback. He did, as an afterthought it seems, offer the new design to the stitch along participants for a discount. Thank you. But I don't know why you would want to stitch two pieces when they're so similar. Someone described the stitch along version as a Temu version of the new piece, and sadly that is what it feels like. You can't easily adapt the new piece to the old one. It's slightly different dimensions. Apparently it's different threads. Even the treasure chest in the middle, which was the first release, so probably the part that most people have stitched, is different as well. So it's not an easy just like switch to it. And the most disappointing part of all of this is the designer's responses and kind of attitude. Really poor customer service, I have to say. He even described the new design as being designed for his loyal stitchers who were patient enough to not jump in and do the sow. So I think based on that, it's not really worth doing a stitch along with Bella Filipina, because if you're patient, you'll be rewarded with a much nicer chart later on down the track after the test stitches have provided their feedback. It turns out it's actually not the first time, and he did something similar last time. And it's just left a really sour taste in my mouth. Yeah, some of the responses were pretty average. And that's shown again in another release he's come out with recently. People were just questioning some parts of a design he released, and just the responses, not a nice way to kind of generate a supportive community that wants to support you. So like personally now, like there's so many amazing cross-stitch designers out there that I would want to support over this designer. So I don't know what to do with my piece. I would have stitched it as it is, but this new version is so nice, but I don't want to buy it. I don't want to have to re-kit things and have to try and adapt what I've already stitched. So I'm not sure. It's just so disappointing to see that, and the kind of disrespect, I guess, that was shown towards, you know, supporters of his. Anyway, I just had to touch on that because that's come up in the last month since I last filmed. And yeah, I'm not sure. You won't be seeing that piece worked on anytime soon while I try and think about what I want to do with it. But let's move on now to plans for February. I've got those 3 categories I didn't touch, so I would like to definitely work on those. So the older category, I think I've got the, oh, have I got it? Here it is, right underneath. The piece I've picked for the older category is Mermaid's Folly by Courtney Collection. So definitely want to work on that. I've got my Chatelaine all in the scroll frames, ready to go. Can't wait to work on that. And Spooky, I'll be bringing out Halloween Night by Doreen Jones. I'd love to finish that, probably not this month. Definitely want to keep going on Firefly. I I'm so excited to see this new cat come to life. And yeah, I guess we'll just see what else happens. So I didn't mean for this to be an hour long. Whoops. Thank you for sticking in there, hanging in there for that long. Can't even speak now. I hope you have a good rest of your weekend, and until I see you again, happy stitching. See ya.